Thank y'all for being here today. First item on tonight's agenda is the 2016 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. HBK, who will be presenting? If you would come up. Okay, Leanne. How you doing today?
Fabulous. How are y'all?
Doing great, thank you.
Wonderful. You want to speak in this mic?
You could speak there or come up here and speak, whichever you feel more comfortable at.
Okay.
You want to sit down if you want. And
Quite comfortable, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing Hartman, Blackman, and Kilgore to continue to do your annual audit. We love working with Jill and her team. They do a great job for you guys in keeping your books in order and all of that, and so they make our life easy. Okay, sorry about that. The first thing that I want to discuss is on page 2, which is actually about 15 pages in, is the opinion. Now, this is an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that we can give as auditors. And so congratulations are in order for that. You guys have done a great job yet again on getting an unmodified opinion. And that's on the first side of page 2, if you wanted to see that there. The next item that I wanted to discuss is on page 15, if you'll flip over to page 15. Pages 15 and 16 are your government-wide financial statements. And so the statement of net position is kind of like your balance sheet. The statement of activities on page 16 is kind of like your profit and loss. You guys had a very successful year this year, entity-wide. The combined activities the entity handles
can
all
you repeat that, please?
You guys had a very successful year this year. Combined entity-wide, there was about $8.3 million in net income. And what this net income enabled you guys to do was pay down $2 million in excess of the scheduled debt payments. And you guys had a total overall debt reduction of $4.5 million with the scheduled debt payments as well. So that's definitely positive there. That decreased your liabilities by about, your total liabilities decreased about $3 million there on page 15. And also, the city was able to purchase about $2.5 million in the utilities and capital assets and about $8 million in the governmental side in capital assets. And so all of those things are great. You're reinvesting in the city, reinvesting in your utilities there. And so that's what you guys were able to do with that $8.3 million of net income. The other statements, the MD&A, the notes of the financial statements are all an integral part of your financial statements. I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know that you want to sit through an explanation of all of them, but we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have on those. But before we do questions, I did want to mention that there's an upcoming standard that is going to put a liability on your books, much like the pension liability, and this liability is going to be for other post-employment health benefits. So this is going to be insurance that you're paying for those that have retired that haven't reached the age 65 for Medicare. And so that liability, at this time, it's on page 53, note 18, but it's about $8.4 million this time. And so it's going to be, all the municipalities are going to put it on there. So it's not something that's going to be unique to the city of Fairhope. Your bond holders will understand what that is for. But one thing that you may want to look at, some municipalities are looking at paying some of that down. And so you may want to talk to your actuaries and kind of see what their recommendation is, kind of what your liability is looking like in the future, and see if that may be something that you're interested in helping to pay down. Any questions there? Okay. Well, thank you guys again. I appreciate your time today.
All right. Any questions for her, counsel? That's mighty quick.
No, yeah.
Do you want more detail?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next item's moratorium update. Councilman Brown, you had some questions regarding this.
No, I was just hoping to get a kind of an update from each department that was maybe affecting, where we are with the study, and I know stormwater's kind of been mentioned some, where we are with everything. Sure.
We have written the scope
I have sent the stormwater scope off to our engineer, Trey Jenwright, let him look at it. He's modified it. We've got a list of potential engineers to do the study. The mayor's got to pick out whoever we're going to do, and we're finalizing that scope of work and the specifications for the RFQ. One of the things that the way we handle this, and I think the mayor and I are going to have to talk about, how we organize the whole study, because one of the things when we started pulling it all together, we realized that this is a big deal. It's a big study, and we really need to look at each watershed individually, and we need to see what the potential fixes are, and then we need to start trying to do those fixes. And we probably aren't going to be able to do them all at one time.
Right.
So probably the approach that we might want to look at is do maybe a study, and then do the fixes the next year, and do another study in next year, and do the fixes for that next study that year 2 or 3, and keep going that way in a phased approach.
You're saying study each watershed and then approach it and then go to the next watershed.
I am, because, that will give the city an opportunity to budget the repairs and the fixes and the things that we can actually do as a city, instead of getting hit with, millions of these dollars of potential fixes, and they're sitting out there and you not being able to do anything with it. So that's the approach that we're going to look and see if that's what we can go for. That's what we're going to propose.
As one of the proposals in the portal for the Restore Act funds, one of them is for a comprehensive land use for stormwater, and it would cover the big, and it is for this year. So hopefully that will come through. We at least have the vote so far to put it forward to the next level. We found that out today. So.
Okay. Any questions about the stormwater
Repeat that.
portion?
You said it went what now, Mayor?
We have 2 RFPs in the portal for the Restore Act. The first one is a comprehensive land use for stormwater runoff, because we want to take care of this as a big
Just that
area.
last part. Would you say something had moved forward?
Oh, you need 4 votes to move it forward into the portal. The deadline is tomorrow, and we have ours already. And then it goes to the next step. So.
I got you.
Yeah, we have 8 watersheds, and we have several that are pretty bad. They're in different. The problems are more severe in some and not as severe in others, and some we have aging infrastructure in a couple of them, the older watersheds, and so you have a different set of problems depending on the watershed.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
I had a question. These watersheds, is there one more under the game plan doing one, fixing it, then doing another, fixing it, doing another, fixing it? Is there a priority system on which watersheds needs to be like first of the list, second of the list, third of the list?
I have prioritized them by what my thoughts are as the concerns that have come in, and what I've seen with my own 2 eyes. And I think there may be a couple of them that we could actually do together, but the more severe ones, I would say first would be Tatumville Gully. The second would probably be Stacks. I'm trying to remember. Third, I think I put in a Cowpen. I was trying to look at, prioritize those in the last couple of days. And then there was 2 that I thought we need to go ahead and do the Rock Creek along with Tatumville, because we have some erosion up underneath the bridge. We just repaired some areas under the bridge at Rock Creek and got it in, we felt like, really good condition, and we've just lost another piece of, we've had some erosion under that bridge.
Which
again.
bridge? On
Rock Creek.
Scenic or on 98?
In the
98's
Rock
culverts,
Creek
isn't it?
subdivision.
Oh, in the entrance there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. We've, and it's fixable. It's just that we really need to kind of look, through that whole area and try to get a study done, and maybe Trey is kind of, he's been proposing doing something like Daphne's done with their step system and stepping the volume through there down. It's the volume under that Rock Creek Bridge has increased a lot. And we know it has because we do bridge inspections every 2 years. So we've inspected that bridge for the last 10 years. So the amount of water, the sheer volume of water is probably unbelievable. It's like fivefold. I can't, I'm trying to figure out what happened, but
So if we don't, unless we have 5 times the rainfall, I mean, it's just running off from impervious surfaces, or what? How do you explain that?
well, I'm trying to figure it out. Our watershed's not really changed. I've called Ashley up there in Daphne because her, it borders the city of Daphne. Target, all that water flows through Rock Creek watershed, on the other side of 64. One of the things that she said might be causing it was, she said whenever you drain a wetland, you increase that. And it kind of made sense because whenever you're draining a whole wetland and it drains the water, I'm not explaining it correctly, but it drains the water table, so it just keeps flowing. How she explained it made sense, but I know I'm messing it up. And there was a couple other things that she had mentioned. I don't know. We need to study it and find out, because that's one of the amount of volume that's coming up underneath that bridge is changed since 2014, since our big storm.
I've put an offer letter waiting for the acceptance, which I think it will go through, but he will be the operations director. His specialty is stormwater, and he's a civil engineer, and he's excellent. So it'll be a huge help for this area.
Wonderful.
When will the council might be able to take a look at some of that stuff so we can start trying to prioritize,
The RFQ?
or any of this,
Well, we can-
water management and
The RFQ, as soon as the mayor and I sit down and kind of get everything ironed out exactly, I can let you see it. It's together pretty much. It's just we haven't put it on the street, because we haven't selected, the three engineers to get it out to get an RFQ back for.
questions,
So
council?
it's pretty much ready. I can send that, as soon as, you and I look at it, Mayor, and get it out.
I think, we need to be kept apprised as to what we're looking for as far as spending goes.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Yep.
Any other department heads want to add to that moratorium?
Just want to speak to the planning part of that. We are, as we said last time, we're reviewing some of the plans and studies we've had over the years, looking at those. We're also, we've compiled a list and are beginning to draft amendments to the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations, and those will be forthcoming to you all, but we have been looking at that and analyzing where our deficiencies are and what we need to improve on. And so we are beginning now to compile those amendments, and we'll again be bringing them forward to the mayor and council.
Is there going to be any option for getting public input as far as?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And there's a number of ways we could do that. Typically, these amendments would come to the Planning Commission first as a public hearing, and of course with the council, there'll be opportunities there for public comments, but also if there's a desire to hold a meeting with everyone, get input from the engineering community and others, we can certainly do that as well.
The next town hall meeting is about that too.
Okay.
So, and that's March 9th, I think. Anyway, I've just posted it. 7th? March 7th. So, for community input.
I think we might need to have a special meeting, council meeting, to go over that if it's going to be pretty lengthy as well.
Sure. Okay, be glad to do that.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Any other department heads have any information to share? Any headway, moratorium issues?
Sewer study? Dan, anything on the sewer study?
Council, before we get to that, we were talking about the Rock Creek Bridge a while ago. What Jennifer was talking about was up under the bridge. They just repaired that. And I have a sewer line that cuts across through there in Rock Creek. All that was shored up, fixed, But after these other rains, it's now shifted the erosion and exposed the sewer line again. So something here in the near future is going to have to be done, as she was telling you, to fix that long-term issue up there. The sewer study. We met a couple weeks ago and scaled back the study to try to get it more narrowed down, and for cost-wise as well as the scope of what we're really wanting to do. All of that was submitted and made its way through Dan Ames. I think it's been submitted to the mayor finally, and
Yeah,
up to you.
we got it
ma'am.
back, and it was like a little over 100,000. I said the main thing we want to spend money right now is the fact that we know the lift stations need to be updated. I'd rather that money go to that,
Right.
and Dan knows the ones that are,
So what we want to do is
that's what we're
focus that on the areas we know are first. And what we're looking at is doing this as a phased approach. We'll do this phase one, and then we'll look at the others here in the near future after we get past that, if we need to do those things. So that you should be seeing that, I would imagine, coming to y'all here in the next council meeting, maybe. That close, Mayor?
Yeah.
The interesting. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That'll happen.
So the engineer's just going to tell us what to do at certain lift stations to,
No, I'm going to meet with the engineer and show him where we're already having these issues, and then he's going to develop a plan what's going to take to fix those issues. Short-term, long-term.
Part of the study is going to be evaluating what the cost will be, which is the most important
Right.
part of this, because right now we're not putting those things into our fees and to pay it back. So we have to have an estimate of what we're looking at for our infrastructure needs.
We actually have to approve the contract with the engineering company first, right? We selected them, but we haven't, I don't think that the fee schedule hasn't been negotiated. I don't think it's come back, has it?
Not to the council, it has to the mayor, and was when we scaled it down, because we had too big a broad a scope to do at one time, to try to get everything done by the moratorium ending. So we scaled it back for short-term, phase one, this is what we need to do. If we need to move on from there, we can, and bring it back to the
So
council.
the fee schedule will come to us on March the 9th for approval then?
I would think so, yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I hear.
And that includes the
Talking
gas.
about all
also.
these things they're going to do, but I haven't seen a contract yet, so.
Well, it's because we were actually still negotiating and scaling, getting the
Sure.
scope
I
and all that down.
appreciate
So
that, too.
trying
No,
to, maximize our dollar that we're
No,
spending.
great,
so.
that's great. I just know that I think that Councilman Brown's concerns are as the clock is ticking on the moratorium.
The main thing that we're doing, though, is updating regulations. That does require a planning attorney. We've been meeting with planners, and I think that's what we're going to be spending a great deal of our time, and have been, because having those things in place will prevent the problems that we've been having for future growth. And all of this that we're doing with the studies, it is more about, we want to spend that money, but we need to know the amount or estimate so we can get to work on doing those updates, because we can do studies for the rest of the year. We know the things we have to put the money in, and
Correct.
that's the key.
Correct.
And having it all done by the end of the moratorium.
Right.
Thanks, Dan.
All right.
Any others? Any other questions, council? Okay, that's easy enough. Committees? Jimmy?
No updates from my committees other than upcoming meetings. We had a library board meeting this past Monday. Historic Preservation meets Thursday, the 2nd of March at 9:30. And the Fairhope Environmental Advisory Board meets Friday, the 10th at 3 p.m. So those are the next upcoming meeting dates.
Okay.
No committee meetings since our last meeting. And if Councilman Conyers will let me borrow his calendar, I'll rattle off when some of these meetings are here. Okay, I don't see him, but we have some coming up for the rec board, for the tree committee, for the recycling committee, and I'm sure we can figure out when those are.
Check the city's website.
Walking in late just really throws me off. I'm just totally rattled.
You got to have that city website in your back pocket to whip that out there, Jay.
I'll keep that in mind for next time.
All right. Councilman Boone?
Yeah, we had a personnel board meeting this morning and talked a little bit about still looking to do an RFQ for the compensation study, tweaking it a little bit. Talked a little bit on the talked a little bit on the, that's very rare that I hear that. But anyway, we talked a little bit more on trying to figure out what we can do to pick up the safety issues for the employees, kicking around some ideas. And actually, we meet only for an hour, and that discussion could take about a couple hours. And so but we did kick around some good ideas, and I think we're going to have a good discussion on the next meeting, the third Thursday of next month. That's all I got.
Councilman Brown?
The EAC is currently trying to mend the relationship between the EAC and the principals again. We had a little setback in our last meeting, but hopefully we'll be working through that. The EAC is glad to see the school resource officers on the agenda tonight. Parks and Rec, the spring sports are heating up. Mainly Complex is finishing up pouring the first batch of sidewalks tomorrow. And the opening of the complex is March 11th at 8:30. Ribbon cutting. That's all I have to report.
Okay. I think at the last council work session, I reported the Industrial Development Board was just tossing around the idea of trying to look at the warehouse light industrial district that's over off of Nichols Avenue and trying to just drum up some business there. And we haven't met, but I have a meeting set up with Ms. Sherry Lee and also Mr. Dias, and also hopefully Bob Gentle will be able to attend, the chairman of the IDB, just to talk about, what the vision is. And it'll just be, once again, just beginning discussions. This could be, a year down the road, it could be 2 years down the road, it could be 6 months down the road, but just share what the Industrial Development Board is trying to do with that. It's called an industrial section, but we're not making it industrial. We're trying to promote business in that area. Just have another node in the city to put some maybe some incubator style businesses there. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. The canvas is kind of blank, and so we're looking for ideas. The Airport Authority met on Tuesday. I was not in attendance. I was in Huntsville on business, but I know that they selected a banking institution to refund the bond issue at a fixed rate. And I know that there may be a couple of little issues that are being ironed out in that, but look forward to that being hopefully ironed out, all those issues ironed out, and get some new permanent financing in place for the Airport Authority. So that's all we have on committee reports. Department heads. Jennifer, since you're closest.
Yes, I wanted to give you an update on the TAP grant. And I have Andy James here. He's with Volkert, who's been our engineer on the project through the design and the CE&I. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Part of the reason I had asked to come before y'all tonight was we have what may be a substantial change from what was presented originally on the TAP grant project. The contractor had requested that we look at a value engineering proposal that he has submitted to us. They've not submitted the cost information to us yet, but we anticipate that it will be at cost or below. We're hoping that it'll come in below. But what they're proposing is to go away from the timber or wood boardwalk and move over to a clear span bridge over Fly Creek. The original proposal was to put in piles about 8 feet apart all the way across the creek. Needless to say, there's some apprehension about that, both from the design side and from the contractor side. The original intent was to help reduce the cost, but in coordinating with the utility department, we have found that did come to us with this proposal, and the bridge that they're proposing is either going to be one of two options as of right now. Both would be steel truss bridges, very similar to what we have out on 98, Scenic 98 right now. It'd be a weathered steel look and about 100-foot span. The contractor is looking at some longer spans, but the main intent is to put in a bridge that would clear Fly Creek. The elevation of the bridge itself would be a little bit higher than the culvert that's out there now, just so that we don't impact any flow And I think that this will be a little bit cleaner look and a little bit easier installation than what they were proposing. And I didn't know if there were any questions. And I did bring a few brochures to kind of give you an idea of what the bridge might look like. That has not been ironed out yet. But they do have some samples here that we could look at.
So Andy, you said a single span?
Yes.
The pylons will be,
You'll have an abutment on either end of the creek. And that, the original environmental permit did permit several pilings going in, and so this would actually be a reduction of impact. We wouldn't have we'd actually would not have any piles in the water itself. There may be some temporary shoring that has to go in while they're sliding the bridge into place, but there would be no permanent impacts to the creek.
how, it looks like they've made a lot of progress in the rest of the trail there. I mean, it looks like it's almost complete. Is that?
They are
accurate?
actually what we would consider substantially complete minus the bridge. They do have a couple cleanup areas that we've advised them on that they need to address, but we've spoken with the DOT and requested a stoppage of time, of contract time, while we iron out whether or not we want to move forward with this VE proposal and see what the pricing comes back. And the DOT did agree to that and said that they were okay with us stopping time while the bridge is being procured.
Can people use that trail from the trailhead to Fly Creek and then from the other side of Fly Creek, wherever it begins again, to the ending up near the triangle?
As
Will
it
they,
stands-
is it possible they'll open that up for use prior
As
to
it
the
stands
bridge?
right now, it is still technically closed. We would have to accept those portions from the contractor and then start the maintenance period or take over maintenance of those portions, but we could discuss that with the contractor. I'm sure he would love to do that.
No, what I was thinking of is, when you build a road and you don't use it, or a sidewalk and it doesn't get used, it tends to get kind of overgrown, and, using it is a good thing.
I will say this, the contractor is liable for the maintenance of the sidewalk and the grass adjacent to it until it's taken over by the
Okay.
city.
All right.
So
That-
they're cutting the grass
that
out there
answers that.
and watering it right now, so. Immediately adjacent to the sidewalk, not all the grass out there.
Okay.
Were there any other questions?
Questions, council members?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have some of that?
The specific bridge that we're looking kind of towards is the one that's on the bottom there. There's another example on page 5.
Is that going to be 8 feet wide,
It
Andy?
is 8 feet wide. I spoke with both suppliers, and they said the change in price to go from 8 foot out to, say, 10 foot could range anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 in additional cost. The contractor was trying to provide us a like-for-like bridge, so the bridge they're proposing is 8 feet. Cost-wise, I'm actually kind of surprised that they brought this to us as a VE proposal, because I would have thought this would cost more. And that was kind of the reason we went with several timber piles to begin with, just because we anticipated the cost would actually be higher if we went with a clear span bridge. But I think some of the installation costs, because you do have overhead transmission power lines directly over this, so they can't really get a crane in to do the installation. They have to use other installation methods. We do have an existing sewer force main, an existing water main, existing fiber optic line, all running underneath the creek right now. So to set piles, et cetera, there's just a lot in their way.
Yeah. Well, 8 foot was what I know what we agreed on, which, I thought that was adequate. I wasn't suggesting we go wider. I just
The only concern
didn't want
about
to be,
8
I didn't want it
foot,
to be narrow.
a standard golf cart is about 4 feet wide. So the concern could be that if you had 2 golf carts approaching, one would have to yield to the other. And what we were discussing with the contractor is putting in a 10-foot landing on either side of this clear span bridge. They're looking at the cost of that right now to see if we can get that and accommodate it as part of the project.
Okay.
It was a 120-day project, so they are, like he said, right on schedule, except now we're stopping. The area that you asked me about.
Yeah, the one that does this.
Yeah.
Looks like a roller coaster.
They're fixing that. They're going to come in and.
So I wasn't just dreaming. It was a
No, we-
skateboarder's dream, right?
We've walked out there with a smart level and checked various spots throughout the project, and we've already notified the contractor that that area exceeds the acceptable cross slope and that they need to come in and take it back out and
Okay.
replace it.
Good.
Do y'all have any other questions about that project?
It's exciting.
Can we bungee jump from that bridge? Good.
I wouldn't recommend it.
If you have a short cord.
There is a nice scour hole on the upstream side of the culvert there, but it shallows up pretty quickly.
I would say, or remind the council that with the proposed project having piling, you're looking at 13 piling over a 100-foot span roughly, crossing that, which is a tremendous deterrent to a water flow with objects and stuff coming down it. So we may want to consider this pretty hard as far as when it comes in to look at this bridge proposal so that we don't have any problems or any
Even if it is more.
hang-ups down there. Because like I said, that's like that'd be like sitting a siphon down there. It'd be pretty rough.
And you did say that there's a chance it wouldn't be a cost impact, right?
That's correct. We're more than likely going to recommend the change in bridge, especially if it comes back under cost.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna have to come back before y'all, just because it's a change of scope, even though it's not a change of cost.
If not, they may want to look a little harder at how they're going to drive those pilots with everything down there on that cost.
You won't have any problem.
See, they want to sharpen
with
that pencil a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
No further questions?
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I guess that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Eric? Have you got a new employee yet?
Starting interviews next week. Actually, we'll get two, because we're also running the ad for the new fire safety inspector, so we'll be doing that as well. Wanted to update you.
Hold on, the new fire safety
Well,
inspector.
Tom Odom is retiring.
Oh, is you retiring?
Yeah, he's retiring. So
Okay.
we've already started running that ad, and I'd like to get somebody in, if I can, a week before Tom leaves to go through all his files and figure out what all he's got. Update you on two very public projects, let you know where we are. They have begun work on the gas station at the roundabout. That permit was issued about a week and a half ago. To kind of remind everybody, let everybody know, that is an unzoned parcel in the county. They met all of the building code regulations, and the developer or the owner is at his expense. It's 1,500 linear feet, Dan?
Yes, 1,500.
He's running 1,500 linear feet at his expense to connect to the sewer. So that has been issued. You'll see some activity out there. I know it's come up. I've gotten a couple of emails about it, so let you know it's one of those issues that it's just one of those pockets in the area that's unzoned, and we couldn't tell them what, but we could tell them how. So that's what we ended up doing. We also have there was a stop work order placed in January on the Old Battles Place project, the 110 apartments. We had a site visit with the consulting engineer for the developer and our consulting engineer, and came up with a list of repairs and things they needed to do, because they had a pretty bad washout in January and they had another one in February. We all met on the site a week and a half ago, and they have actually come in and seeded and mulched that entire site and made all of the repairs that were, required by both of the engineers. So the stop work order was specific to repairing the damage that was done and cleaning up the site, and they met all of those requirements. So we released that stop work order, and the building permits for that are in the process of being issued. So their plan is 44 buildings. There's 22 duplexes, 22 triplexes. They're going to build them concurrently. They're going to build them consecutively. So they're anticipating 14 months is what they're saying, from first foundation to walking out the last building. So it's going to get hectic down there here in the next few weeks.
Eric, they seeded and sodded the washed out areas on that property, but what happens the next time?
Well,
Have
no,
the
they
rain
actually
and-
went in, they did that, and they replaced sod in all of their drainage ways. They repaired the riprap and the outfalls. They resodded the pond, but they actually went in and blew seed and mulch on the entire site. The issue is you've got 25 or 30 acres of just bare ground. And so one of the things we required was vegetation is the biggest thing that will cut down on the muddy runoff coming off that site. So they have seeded and mulched anything that is not a building pad or a roadway. And we looked at it, actually this rain, they did it Thursday, Friday last week. The rain we got this weekend was perfect. It wasn't heavy enough to wash all the seed away. It gave it some water, and you can already see grass starting to pop up. We have told them we expect 90% coverage, germination per our ordinance, and they said they will continue to seed and mulch to make sure that they meet that.
My question is this, though, Eric. Let's say that the water was perfectly clear coming off of there.
Yes, sir.
What happens to that water that's flowing downstream? I mean, it's covered the roadway.
Yeah,
How
I mean,
deep? It was, what, a couple of feet, maybe?
it was.
So, I mean, let's just say that that's perfectly clear water.
Sure.
You know, mud washes off their site and they fix it. Well, I mean,
Right.
my neighbor doesn't care if my yard washes away. I have to fix it. But what happens downstream if that water runs on them?
Well, and I guess, and I'm not going to speak to the engineering of their drainage, but the fact is that water washed that way anyway, whether.
Did it always do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's always, the topography always took it to that county right away on 44, and it went under the new bridge and through Point Clear Stables and Polo Ridge. It always went that way. With them increasing the impervious surfaces for the houses and the streets, it's going to come much faster, and that's the purpose of their holding pond, release it slowly to try. The velocity should not be greater with the development than it was before. It never had any holding ponds, it just sheet flowed over the land, but that's the purpose of it.
Has that holding pond been completed?
The pond is complete, yes, sir. So I wanted to make sure, I sent a fairly detailed email, I may have copied a few of you on it, to some citizens that have been concerned, and I just wanted to make sure you were aware of it, and if I haven't, I'll go on ahead and send it to everybody again so you saw what I put out there.
Yeah. And actually, I know you all probably very appreciative of that, too.
Well, it's, we've got several folks that are very concerned, and their neighboring property, and I understand their concerns. I just, I had a lot of questions about why did you lift the stop work order. There's still questions about and I kind of told them, when it comes to me, it's an approved project. My stop work order was specific to fixing their problems and making sure turbid water leaving the site. That's what I can regulate, along with the building code issues with the structures. Okay.
Questions? Okay. Thank you, Eric. Chief Ellis? Okay. Sherry? Can't see you over there.
As most of you know, City Sketches, we have not been doing that publication for a couple quarters now. But we are coming up with a communication tool that we're going to be getting out pretty quickly. We're going to start doing it every other month. It'll be served more as a community calendar, but we'll have some information in there. We hope to have a March-April issue out next week, so y'all can be looking for that. We're not going to be mailing it, but we'll be placing it online and on social media, and also printing about 2,000 copies that we'll place around at city facilities. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby?
Hi, Bobby Hall from the golf course. Going through some changes out at the golf course with the pro shop. Councilman Boone was out, Lance Cabanis, and the mayor's been made aware of the damages at the golf shop. It has water damage, termite damage from the drive-it or stucco as you inspected, and we don't know the extent of the damage, but we are closing the golf shop, moving into a trailer. The trailer will be there at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. It was supposed to come today, but there was an accident on I-10, so he couldn't get through. Jeff Montgomery and his staff are there ready to wire computers, our cash register, and our internet, cable, and credit card system. They have it ready to go, so it should be hopefully a smooth transition. We will need to meet. We will need to discuss what needs to be done to the clubhouse with Lance Cabanis' help. We need a contractor and an engineer. Dan Ames was on site last week, and we will need to sit down at the table and discuss what renovations we're going to do. Money, how much expenses, what will be the plan and forecast for this. I don't know, but we need to get started on it. Staff will be fine in the trailer for a while. Again, we will not close. The clubhouse will stay open. The bathrooms, the snack bar will all remain intact and business as usual.
What are you doing with all your inventory, Bobby? Are you putting it in the trailer a little at a time? Or
a little at a time.
You just ask them what color shirt they want and run in and grab it? Or, I mean,
no, we will put some shirts, balls and gloves and hats and visors, and we're working on shelving for that. We want to get into the trailer with our electronics first and then slowly move merchandise in there. It'll be limited. It'll hurt our sales for a little while. We're still going to go forward with demo days in March. Those are still planned. So we'll move in what we can, essentials. The rest we'll put in storage or in the attic. I'll make moves with all that inventory, should they have to come in and knock out walls or whatever we're going to have to do. But it is a problem, and it has been ongoing for a while with this water damage, but we need to address it as soon as possible. I do have a report. Lynn Messer asked me to put some numbers together for you all, and I finished that report. I think she's out of town, but I'm going to give you a copy of this. It's nothing we need to go through, but I think a lot of you need to know as a new council about how many rounds that we do, our membership, where does our membership come from the Baldwin County area, not only in Fairhope, but they come from Spanish Fort, Alberta, Mobile. We have memberships or annual passes there. So this is information I think just go through at your leisure. We can talk about later, but I think it's numbers that you need to know that are going on. It's a full list of the Ladies Golf Association, which has about 35 members. The Men's Golf Association is up to 167. Last year it was 225. We'll get more members through the spring. It has details in here about how many at Quail Creek Estates are members or have annual pass that live in that area. It has the play that comes from outside the area. It has the total number of rounds that interest you. It has about what we do in expenses. There's no budget item numbers in here or any hard revenue numbers, but I think it'll give you a good scope of what's going on at Quail Creek, so I'd just like to hand that out. Okay?
Great. Questions for Bobby?
But Sherry Lee Botop has sent me an email that, and Mayor Wilson, that we'll need to sit down and meet and get a plan of action to go forward.
And we talked about it right before we came in here too. We filed insurance, and my hope is that we get to redo the whole thing. But anyway, we have to find that out too, but that's our goal.
Okay. Any questions at all? Again, I'll just pass this out, and if I need to get extra copies, I have one for you, Sherry, and just hand this out real quick, and you can review it. Thank you. Pass that down. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Tom? No? Dan, anything?
A little bit of follow-up on a couple of things. Following Bobby's good, because on the golf course pro shop, we have filed a claim with the insurance. We have a list up to the mayor to choose for the engineer of record / architect to do the discovery for the project, to open up the walls, find out causes, total effect, repairs, cost, all the normal things engineers and architects of records do. Tuesday, I'm meeting with the insurance adjuster at site. They want to not open up everything and do discovery. They're going to coordinate with the engineer and architect, and when we open up the area for the engineer and architect, or when it's opened up, then the adjuster is going to be there too, and the determination of cause of the effects we discover will be there. We don't know that it's termites. We don't know if know that it's termites or insects or water or what it is until we open it all up, and it's going to be hopefully obvious to the engineers and the adjuster at the same time. Okay, that's Tuesday. For the start of that, they're going to go back and look at the same holes we looked at, just to get their feet on the ground and get going on it.
Let me ask you, and I guess this is a question for you and the mayor. I mean, our next meeting is March the 9th. Can we wait that long to select an engineer or architect of record to go out there and meet with the adjuster? Because you're talking sometime after the March the 9th if we don't select one.
If it's at your discretion, if once she's made that determination and we have
Is this what you sent me today?
No, I sent it to you a while back. I sent it.
And you're for the Quail Creek?
Yeah,
Clubhouse?
there's Quail Creek. Yeah, Quail Creek Pro Shop. We've got to make the decision on who you want, and then we move it
Okay.
to. You didn't want to use the existing one. The quick.
I know the only thing, all the ones that I've already looked at, I didn't know you gave me one for Quail Creek, because we were going to make this one an emergency, and then it goes through if that's what they want to do it as an emergency, so.
Well, that's why I said it's at the discretion of the council. If y'all want to hold a special meeting and do that, it does not have to be declared an emergency, but if you want to hold a special meeting for the selection of the engineer, it's your
I
call.
suppose we could do that if we
With
had to. If we could get a
Lisa's-
quorum together just to select it.
Well, that's with Lisa nodding to the procedure of doing that special meeting. That would expedite. When I get that back from the mayor, we can go to the engineering company. We can give them, it may not be that hard for them to come up with a not to exceed. You're going to want to see a fee schedule. That's easy. You want to see a not to exceed. That may be a little harder to determine on quick notice. But we can get something to work with. Go to you with both approval of the fee schedule and signing of the contract, and we're moving.
Good.
Okay, that's on that.
I wouldn't be adverse to that, but I'd like, wouldn't make a promise until I saw it, but yeah,
Right.
that's a plan. It could be a plan.
Right. Okay. Anything else on that project? Okay. We're also meeting with the mayor has selected Volkert to do be the engineer, somewhat engineer of record for the relocation of the utility lines on the 181 expansion. And I just before this meeting spoke with the ALDOT rep, and basically they're going to handle the whole thing. Not ALDOT. It will be an ALDOT project. We have to select by their procedure an engineer to do the relocation. Once we do that, when the engineer designs how the relocation will occur, ALDOT can incorporate it into their project, handle the whole thing. The payment is, I understand, is BP funded, and it would, the contractor would be direct from ALDOT to them. The engineering services would be through us to the engineer. And it's, long story short, it's pretty much a calm project. It's not going to be, it's going to be an ALDOT project. And we're going to be kind of on the side saying thank you very much. Okay? All right, that's occurring tomorrow, the first initial meet. And we, on the study, the mayor is deciding which engineering no, the mayor has the second proposal in front of her for the not to exceed figure from the engineer that you approved to negotiate with. In the first meeting it was kind of high, second meeting it's now changed scope, reduced fee. And once she makes her decision on that, if that's adequate, then it comes back to you guys, or additional negotiation, one of the two.
Well, this is from Goodwin Mills. We got that where you sent it to me on the 22nd, so I'm totally fine with that, that figure that they did. And on the Quail Creek, I asked for an update yesterday
Yeah.
on it, and
On the insurance. Yeah. And we're meeting.
yeah, and then just how long that's going to take, because I know the insurance has to go out, you had mentioned, with the engineer.
Right, so once the engineer's.
My next one, which you'll get, and I'm putting Robbie on here too, is how long that turnaround is.
Okay.
For him to,
Determine their
insurance
part.
end, right.
Yeah. I don't know that until they open the building.
Okay.
And they won't be able to respond to that until they open the building.
Okay.
Any
Mayor,
other-
just let myself and Lisa know if we need to
Okay.
go ahead and plan something.
Yeah.
Or we can get that
Sounds
done
good.
pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
I think we need to do that one as an emergency, for sure.
Any questions for Dan?
Could you speak just a little bit about the library? And I know you had a meeting with the sub from Goodwin Mills up there and had a chance to check out the roof.
Okay, on the envelope and roof project,
Yes, sir.
Goodwin Mills is still developing their not-to-exceed figure by bringing sub-consultants up there to get a better understanding of the scope of the work that they're going to have to do. So they took an envelope specialist up there first, and I went with them, and so far, initial reaction is excellent choice, and very, very intelligent and well-informed on the subject, and was pointing out some very good very detailed things. Second time, they brought their roofing consultants up and did the same thing. Walked the roof, walked the building, and they're formulating recommendations to Goodwin Mills, and Goodwin Mills should be presenting to us their fee schedule and not to exceed on the project soon.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
That it?
Thanks, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Pandora, anything? Okay. Deborah? Okay. Jimmy? Robert? Tim? Am I leaving anybody out? I can't see that. I'll see Jill. Jill? You already did your report, didn't you? Okay. Anybody else? Shirley? And Wayne, too.
While she's walking up here, Jill has been working very hard to put the budget in a format that we want to start doing things departmentalized, so it's easy to see, what each budget is. And we will be ready in the next couple of weeks, so we either can do a special meeting for that, or if there's time, do it at the next council meeting.
I think we might even do it both ways. We may have a
Okay.
special meeting, like schedule a couple of hours, and then we might even come in early, like we've done before, and have a long meeting prior to the council meeting, and try to keep our work session really short. Maybe we can go on through the work session, and then the budget discussions will be that. But I would ask you, Mayor, to, when we get it, to give us a couple of weeks or a week or two to look it over so that we can formulate questions prior.
What we're doing is the budget book you've had since we took office. We're just doing edits to that, so it'll be
make it
easier
easier.
to go. So, I mean, the only thing you're going to have to do is what it's going to show. The budget book right now, sorry, Sherry Lee. The budget book right now says budget 2016. I don't know if y'all have noticed this. And then it just says budget 2017, but there's no actual numbers in there. So what we're doing is doing budget 2016 actual, budget 2017 that you already have and have had edits, and then what the budget will be. So you can, this will be the only time we report it like this again, because I promise you it'll be much easier and streamlined, and it won't be this big. It'll be a lot easier to read. So.
Okay. Look forward to it. Sherry Lee?
So, from a community development perspective, the work that SARPC had started with that consolidated plan, if you'll recall, and we've engaged the Gulf Coast Community Design Studio to work with us to start that process. We have had 2 community meetings with the Twin Beach community, and it's just conversation happening right now, really a lot of listening and identifying obstacles and looking for solutions. Right now it's really, like I said, a lot of listening, engaging. The first 2 meetings were driven by the community, and we were there at the table to hear them and talk about what had happened the last couple years. There were a lot of concerns about the fact that the study had not gone forward for that 2 years. So we wanted the community to understand that we want this to move forward, whatever it turns out to be. We don't know what that looks like right now, but that we do want to address some concerns in the community and understand what's causing those concerns, and just dialogue right now. So no answers. I just wanted you to know it was happening. So we promised the community it would happen, and it is. So that's moving forward. Ongoing conversations about where to place the design studio, which is essentially a convening spot. The mayor would like to have it at City Hall, and we would too. So we're looking at potential ways to configure space without spending money, which is really fun. But we do want to be somewhere that's accessible. We want to be somewhere the community is used to coming, so that when they come, for example, to pay their bill, maybe they're able to see some of the projects and maps and things we're working on. Also been working with Jeff's done a great job really just taking the lead on redoing our city website. A lot of that has to do with this community engagement piece. Wayne has been meeting with people, and so has Jeff, about GIS mapping, which is going to be a big part of this. We want the community to be able to locate their properties, see what their flood elevations are, see what kind of developments are going on around them or potential developments in the pipeline. And we think that will help answer a lot of concerns before it gets here, just really looking at process issues right now and how do we communicate with everyone in a way that these things, a lot of questions are answered and concerns
That'll
are
include
addressed.
county, just because we a lot of times don't
Yes.
hear about projects until long after they've, happened, but that will also be included. We'll be communicating more with the county.
Right. Economic development perspective, and I'm meeting with some airport authority folks about development out there next week. So I'm looking forward to that meeting, and we're going to brainstorm some ideas and talk about next steps. I just returned from Montgomery. I met with ADECA, Alabama Film Department, various people, our representatives, commissioners, lots of people up there. I spent part of yesterday at the State House just spending time relationship building and also understanding what types of legislation are out there that impact Fairhope specifically and how we can engage more in that to the positive outcome of Fairhope, of course. And I'm sure you all know what that's all about, things like the penny tax. We've met, the mayor and I met with the president and provost of USA and Faulkner. We're also talking to them about relationships there and how we can work more closely together, looking at economic development opportunities, entrepreneurship, some pretty exciting stuff that's in motion. And I think that's about it for now. A lot of other things going on. I'm still attending committee meetings. I saw Robert's wife in Montgomery, so I know he was there too. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Do y'all have any questions for me about what's happening on this front? Okay.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the design studio. I've heard the term passed around and floated, but I don't, how is it implemented and what's it
Yeah.
look like?
So it's really, it looks like a space, and one thing I would love to, I've mentioned it to a few of you individually, but take you all on a field trip to the one in Biloxi, because it's pretty close. But it is a space for convening, for bringing expertise to meet with the community, to place things like design recommendations and exhibits up on walls and things like that. It would be, for example, I've heard things brought up like a discussion about development of agri-hoods, so bringing maybe agriculture developers together to have that conversation with interested investors, that kind of thing. Twin Beach community, it could be a place for them to engage with expertise there, potential grant opportunities for that community. Do a lot of different things there, but it really is a nucleus for community engagement and an intersection of community planning and design.
Is it a part of the planning department, or who is staff?
It's a partner. No, it's a partnership. It really is community economic development and planning together, working as in a partnership.
We're trying to make this a part of the process so that when developers and people that want to build, we're communicating on the front end before there's a lot of money spent on architects and engineers and things like that, and then they come and they're having to change a lot of stuff. This is just a way for us to do it together with, Wayne working with them and saying these are, our regulations. Just going over the process before it becomes an application. And I just feel like that will make it a lot more seamless, and we want that application and the approval process to be just a better experience. So
it's even a place where, Smart Homes America, for example, we have the largest concentration of fortified homes in the country right here in Fairhope. So it would be a place where we could bring to the table Smart Homes, NOAA, people with resilience expertise or design build expertise to talk with community members that are interested in that, or developers, really sharing best practices. So I think it will be something that home builders will be a part of too, developers, community members. And there will eventually be a schedule of what will come out of it, but it'll be driven partially by the community. When we talk about the warehouse district, the arts district, that could be, that definitely is a conversation to be had there.
Right.
And you hash a lot of things out with the community in that forum. So I did not create the concept. It exists nationally, but it's something that I think will do very well here.
Okay.
I hope that helped.
Yeah. Thank you, Sherry Lee. Wayne?
Yeah, so just kind of follow up with Sherry Lee, the development process can be difficult and controversial. One of the things that we would like to do, as Sherry mentioned and the mayor mentioned, is, have a pre-application conference before an application is filed to go over the requirements, what's required, make sure the applicant has full knowledge of our regulations and what we're going to do and how it's going to work, but also engage the community early in the process. So instead of coming to the Planning Commission, you got a huge group with a controversial project, maybe that can happen in advance of a Planning Commission meeting or an application being filed. So any kind of issues could be worked out to some degree as best they can prior to it coming forward for the full-blown public hearing process. And as many in Walton County, we did that. It was successful in my opinion. It didn't solve every problem, but I think a lot of times the communication was very important between the applicant and the community, and it solved a lot of problems that were handled very, very quickly in the process. That was a very good thing. Also, Sherry Lee mentioned the map viewer. Right now, if someone wants to look up their zoning, for example, it's not available to look by address or anything like that. One of the things we would like to do, I've been working with Jeff on this, is have a map viewer online. So 24/7, whenever you want, you can go and look up a parcel and see what the zoning is for the property, what the flood zone is for the property, or any other of those layers that we have in our GIS data that you can look it up at your convenience. Additionally, we would like to also have some points on that map showing current projects, and maybe a site plan attached to that point. You can click on it, it'll bring up the site plan, the application data, so people can look at that 24/7 at their convenience. It does a couple of things. One, it keeps people more informed, but also it cuts down the number of calls that we're handling through the city, and also people coming in looking at site plans. They can look at it at their house rather than having to come to our office and make sure we're open and so forth. So I think the map viewer is something I think we can do under our current budgeting, our current budget for that, and I think that would be a very exciting tool for the public to use.
Thank you, Wayne. Chief Pettis, I missed you back there.
Yes, wanted to talk about Mardi Gras a little bit. We're halfway through the season. We had our dog parade, and then we had the two parades Saturday night. And one of the things we might want to start looking at, the dog parade is getting real large. And the mayor had sent myself and Jennifer an email the other day about some things, and we do an after-action report on every event we have so that we can kind of keep up with it. And we just got it compiled. I didn't bring it with me tonight, but I will share it with y'all. As you know, we had at KOER, we had one of the floats broke down in the road, but we worked through that and got it out. And but my concern is the dog parade, and it's been a concern for several years, and we're going to have to really look at this to do something. Either we're going to have to change the date on it, or we're going to have to block off the downtown because of safety. They're closing in the road so much that when the trail vehicle comes through, the officer told me he had to get out to get people out of the road because they can't see the little dogs and stuff. They're not up on a float like the people are. So we talked about it a little bit Monday morning in our meeting, and I came up with a suggestion. I don't know, a lot of people probably won't like it, but I said let's just take it up to the football stadium and let them go around the stadium. People can be inside and people can be on the outside.
I don't like it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that.
I want people spending money downtown.
It is good for business.
Yeah, but we're going to have to look at something, and I know the other suggestion is blocking off, just keeping it blocked off all day downtown, and that's going to be bad for the merchants. It's going to cause Jennifer a lot of headaches and overtime and stuff like that, but we're going to have to definitely look at something with that. We had a couple more little incidents that happened, and Shane and I went out yesterday, and they're having a meeting tonight, and I looked over we usually go out and meet with the organizations, and we give them the do's and don'ts and all of that for Mardi Gras. And so we're looking at some things, and we want to keep it safe, and that's the biggest thing. We don't want a child to get hit or anything like that to happen. So I'm going to send it out to y'all so y'all can look at my suggestions about this dog parade.
Keep it downtown. All right. I think that does it for department heads. Did I miss anybody? Dan McCrory, did I call on you yet? Do you have anything? Okay. All right, let's move on into the agenda. Who will speak? Wayne, will that be you speaking to number 5 if we have any questions? The
Yes, sir.
zoning ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item number 6, the utility easement. That's, I know, a bunch of just red tape, but who would speak to that if we had questions about that? Dan? McCrory? Okay, item number 7 for the tennis lights. Who would be available for that? Dan, you? Dan Ames, that is? Okay. 8. Who's going to speak to those rules? Sherry? Number 9. That's pretty simple. Number 10, Wayne, is that you? Number 11, can speak to that, or Chief, are you going to want to speak to that some? And number 11. Anything else, council? Pretty light agenda tonight. Oh, yeah, okay. Lisa handed us all a resolution we'd like to amend. You want to talk about that for a minute? Clerk?
Jennifer.
Jennifer?
You want to come up here?
You want to speak to this? This 4-party agreement?
That's what Joey sent.
Something to do with ALDOT, I believe.
She sent it to me.
You know, the County Road 13 used to be County Road 13. Yeah, the city took
Is it
over. We took over 13, right? Between Mosley and south of town to the soccer complex. Well, part of our agreement to take it over was for the county to pave it. The county, they got the MPO to fund it, so they did a pretty good job with that, resurfacing 13. But because we own the road, we have to enter into the agreement with the county and the Alabama Department of Transportation.
Okay.
So that's what this is.
So they're going to pave it, and it's an agreement between City of Fairhope, State of Alabama, ALDOT,
In the Eastern Shore.
Baldwin County, and the City of Daphne.
Well, the City of Daphne owns part of it, too.
64.
So some of 13, I guess, is Daphne, some of it's ours, some of it's the county, and ALDOT's helping pay for it. And while we're on the subject, can I just add just a little tidbit to this? 13 between Fairhope Avenue and Morphy desperately needs repaving. So if there's any way I can get with a contractor when he goes out to pave this, that we can tack that on maybe with some gas tax funds, I would like to research that and investigate it as the time gets closer with your, if y'all think that's a great idea, because we have a lot of potholes on that road. Tree roots and that sort of thing.
Give us some info on it.
I'll ask, whenever the contractor gets it, I'll ask how much we could get it for. Probably they would extend the, whatever they get the the price per foot, whatever it is, that they'll probably give it to us too if we can negotiate with them.
Okay.
But I'd like to put that before you guys because it is a road that we desperately need paving. Be easy for them to do, so the mobilization would be done in that area.
When will they do this paving? Do you know when that might start?
They're about to let the project
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We're going to let it tomorrow morning?
That's why.
Does it have our price on there, or is it, we don't know?
The cities don't have to do anything except accept maintenance, which we already do.
Right. I just didn't know if it was like that other one, or like, if it goes over, you're responsible, but that's
No,
a different
it
thing.
does not
Okay.
say that.
Anything else?
That's all I have. I just want to be able to do that in the future. So
Okay.
just give you a heads up.
Thank you, Jennifer. Anything else for the good of the city right now in the work session, council? All right, I'd love to say we'll start the city council meeting now, but we better wait until 6 o'clock, so we'll adjourn, and I'll see everybody here promptly at 6.